Attention. Please be advised. The following episode contains spoilers. Don't say we didn't warn you.
You want to know something that's good as the book? The book.
A movie's not a book.
Exactly.
Nerd On.
What is, everyone? Welcome to Nerd On, the podcast you didn't need, but you deserve, and where all levels of nerd are welcome. First of all, this episode is brought to you in part by our patrons over at Patreon. So happy to have you guys on board. I'm Josh, one of the hosts, if you're new to the show.
I'm Tom, because Corey poked me.
I'm Corey, because I poked Tom.
And I'm Ali, poke free since 93.
I'll poke you on Facebook.
Pokemon.
Just poke me back.
If you want to get any more information about the show, again, if you're new to the show, you can go to www.nerdonthepodcast.com. And we're going to get into this. I'm very excited about this subject.
Yo,
We're going to jump into the
spoilers.
OASIS.
Oh, yeah.
Spoilers. It's at the top.
If you haven't seen this movie yet, pause. We know it's playing near you in like a half an hour. Go see the movie. And then 2.5 hours later, come back and listen to the rest of this.
Let's do a courtesy pause. We're just going to pause for a second.
And go.
Okay, so
Welcome
now we're
back.
back.
Hide your wife. Spoilers coming after you.
Hope you enjoyed the movie now that you've watched it.
So, we are talking Ready Player One.
Yeah.
Directed by Steven Spielberg and screenplay written by Ernest Clive and Zach
Cline.
Cline. Sorry.
Cline.
Uncultured swine.
No, it's Cline.
So, yeah, shall we talk about our initial reactions?
Yeah,
Yeah.
initial reactions of the movie. So I never read the book. And going into the movie, I know, right? I know, right? Hey, if there was an anime about it, I probably would have watched
Well, who
it.
here has read the book?
I have.
Josh?
Multiple times.
Oh, I have not.
I have not. Okay. I have it loaded on my Nook.
Yeah, I have it on my iPad.
Some close to
So
reading.
just Josh?
Yep.
Inya?
Just Josh.
God. But
yeah.
yeah, so watching this and being a longtime Spielberg, I mean, I feel like it's not like I'm a Spielberg fan. It's like I just grew up watching Spielberg.
I mean, who's not really, though?
I mean, it's kind of like you.
Communist.
If
It goes without saying.
If you ever watched the movie, chances are you've probably watched a Spielberg movie.
Or it's been influenced.
Yeah, I was going to say, or it's been influenced, or he's had his hand in it somehow.
So initial reaction of Ready Player One, I enjoyed it. I had such a fun time.
You heard
watching
it here, folks.
First time. Yeah.
No qualms.
I enjoyed it. It was fun. It brought me back to watching some of the older Spielberg movies, which I've actually been saying for a long time that I feel like he kind of really adopted the Schindler's List ideology, where he kind of went with this, very like tough and deep tone narrative films, and kind of traded that in like when he used to have like Jaws and like Jurassic Park, where they were like more adventure-y, you know, emotion thrilling. But this kind of brought that back, and it had that vibe back, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it had that. It had
whimsy.
Yeah, that's a good word. Whimsy.
I feel like it had whimsy.
It had wind instruments in there.
Yeah, it was windy.
Corey?
Me? I liked it. I had a lot of fun watching it. I found myself really invested as someone who plays games and stuff like that. I related a lot to the devastation of losing everything you have. Having
Zeroing out.
Having played hardcore on
Losing
Diablo
your
once
shit.
or twice, I know that feeling of just like, oh fuck, there goes everything I worked for.
Yeah.
The grind, baby.
So I was very much a feeling the grind, and buying that new gear, especially since we've been playing Pirates lately, Sea of Thieves. Buying cosmetic upgrades and stuff like that.
Yep.
I was sold, so I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I loved it. I mean, it was just a huge reference, pile of references, which is fine. I mean,
It was just references on references on references.
I would say
it was awesome.
The cool thing is that it references, but it's like homage and honor versus intertextuality.
100%. It wasn't just there for the sake of like being there. It was like, it was cool. Like when certain things happened, it made sense. And I was invested. I was in it. Like I bought into it, and then I was on for the ride.
Yeah.
Joshy Josh?
So my initial reaction started when it was announced.
You're like, Nerd on alert.
Because
boners.
I've read the book multiple times. I just loved it so much, and I told Bonnie about it, and she was like, "Oh, let's read it."
But why did you like the book?
I mean, it was a well-written story. We can talk about this later if we want to, but the book did get some backlash on its representation of female characters. But I loved the book. I just loved all the fan service, I guess you could say. If you thought the movie was jam-packed with pop culture, this was jam-packed even more.
Oh, yeah.
But it was also old school IPs. I mean, it was Dungeons and Dragons OG. It was Joust. It was, there was a lot of really great, great.
There was Blade Runner in there.
There was things that brought like genuine, heart-warmed smiles to my face. Like not just the fact that Iron Giant is in it, but the fact that it's a mod that he's working on. I just love that.
So when it was first announced, I was kind of like, okay, all right, you're going to make a movie of it? Oh my God, Steven Spielberg is going to direct it? Oh my God, this is amazing. And so as it got closer, I was like, okay, I'm really excited about this, but also kind of that cautiously optimistic.
Right, for someone who's read the book and is a fan. Don't want to overhype it.
Yeah, don't want to. So I went in with an open mind because I was like, I really want to allow myself to see this and not be like, oh, but in the book. And I thought that they handled it really well because if you were to handle the book to a movie and be totally clear with everything that's and just have everything, it'd be like a 6-hour movie.
It'd be Watchmen.
Right. Well, there's a thing Ian McKellen once said about why the Lord of the Rings movies are so long. He's like, you can write a line in a book, an army marched onto a field. He's like, but to show that in a movie, it's going to take at least, 3 or 4 minutes to show an army marching onto, the field to battle at Helm's Deep or something.
So, I mean, I really enjoyed it. At first I was kind of like, okay. And I had to check in with myself and be like, Josh, chill out, watch the film and open your mind. Because I've seen some posts from people that don't like it. Well, I mean, because they just want it to be so true to the book that I'm like, this was a great adaptation.
Right now, isn't it sitting right as we record this? It's sitting at a 78% on Rotten Tomatoes,
something like that. Yeah.
Which I mean, again, I don't look at critics as terms of the ultimate this movie's good, this movie's bad, go watch it, don't watch it, or I don't look at them as success.
Yeah.
But in the same sense, when I saw the trailer, it had a different version of Pure Imagination playing, and it felt like this is a dream reality. And since I'm the terminally Asian guy, there's a genre of anime called isekai, which is a genre of anime where people get stuck in virtual worlds. Okay. And this reminded me so much of that, like Dot Hack Sign or Sword Art Online, which huge franchises now, but bringing this to an American audience. Bringing video games to a massive audience, we're all nerds here. We're all nerds at home, but some of the massive audiences.
It was movies, it was TV shows, it was and
comic book characters. It was everything.
Yeah, it was everything. It was video games. I mean, I loved the Master Chief group.
The Spartans. The group of Spartans. Awesome. Yeah. You saw Battletoads. You saw Ninja Turtles. You saw everything. It was crazy.
Yeah, Arkham Asylum, things like that. But bringing that as
Joker, Harley Quinn,
as parts of the fact that the movie is based around a game. Yeah. Last time you saw something like that was Jumanji or War Games or something specific.
It was nice to see that kind of the genres bending, blending in together a little bit.
Which actually, in my point, I had the similar feeling like you just. I'm like, I hope this does really well because I don't know how many people you can tell there's a future where the game is the world, and the real world is not really the one that anyone cares about anymore.
Should we do a quick synopsis? A synopsis? Synopsis?
Yeah, I think so.
We could do that.
I mean, those of you who are listening to this, you've probably already seen it since you want to be spoiler free. So we'll keep it real brief.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tom.
The movie, at least, is 1945 in Colorado.
2045.
2045.
It's in 1945, guys.
1945.
Columbus, Ohio.
Columbus, Ohio.
I'll do the recap. Here we go. 2045, Columbus, Ohio. You have
Wade Watts.
There it is. His dad named him because it sounds like
Peter Parker, Bruce Banner.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he is in this place called the Stacks, and he escapes to a place called the Oasis because there's overcrowding, all that kind of stuff.
It's a virtual reality
world
that has been created and basically taken over. I don't mean taken over like that, but it has been picked up so much that people spend most of their lives.
That's where the new reality is.
So reality has become so bleak and so sad for some people that their only way to be happy in life is to escape to this place, and you can do anything. You could be anyone.
But it's also like
any character.
It's like Bitcoin too, because like the OASIS currency has taken over the the actual dollar.
Yeah.
Created by Gregarious Games by a guy named James Holliday and Ogden Morrow, who created the company. And it takes place. Pretty much the story takes place 5 years after James Holliday has died. And once he died, he announced that there's going to be this competition.
There's Easter eggs.
For this Easter egg. And to get the Easter egg, you get 3 keys. And they're located all around the world. They're not underneath a rock, but you have to do...
Which is kind of a huge thing because the Oasis is infinite.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's finite in a way, but there's so much in it. Like...
It was what Horizon Zero Dawn's supposed to be.
Yeah. I mean, it's like if I told you, I need you to go find this in a video game, it's like, but where do I start?
It's not
They're
really...
like, hey, we need you to find this sewing needle on the map of Grand Theft Auto 5. Good luck.
Yeah.
But
like, oh my God.
I would say even more so where it's not even a world.
Yeah.
It's a universe.
Yeah.
These are multiple
You need to find a
planets.
needle inside of either Grand Theft Auto...
a Rockstar game.
Oh my God.
Including the World of Warcraft map. Good luck.
And enjoy.
Yeah. So Wade Watts finds the first key and he meets
He has his friend H, and he meets this other girl,
Artemis,
and they start working together alongside his other
I'm having
two
a problem
friends.
because I'm like, no, that's not what. Oh wait,
Daito and
my mind's going. Oh, the book.
Daito and
Yes.
Sho.
Yeah.
And
The 5 of them call themselves the High Five.
well, they don't really clan up. That's the thing. But
Yeah.
they start calling themselves a high five. But
They've been called the High Five because they hold the top 5.
Yep.
Of the leaderboard.
Because they all have keys.
and all the while, IOI, which is the enemy company that's led by Nolan Sorrento, who leads the Sixers, are all chasing them down, trying to find these keys too. Because whoever gets the Easter egg gets the rights to the Oasis.
What do they call themselves?
The
Gunters?
Sixers? Oh, Gunters, egg hunters.
Egg hunters, Gunters.
And whoever gets the Easter egg owns the rights and gets $500 billion of the entire...
And owns
that-
Oasis.
Where he like misspoke. He's like $500 million. I mean,
He says $500 million and then goes
I mean,
$500 billion.
$500 billion. And you're like, oh,
so the economic balance of the world is in the Oasis now.
yeah.
So there's a lot riding on the stakes of like finding this Easter egg.
Because
But
IOI wants to sell advertising, like their HUD would just be basic.
They said they literally figured out how much advertising they could take up before people have a seizure, and they're just going right below that.
Yeah.
So eventually they follow the clues in his memories.
they go through this place called like the Holiday Museum where they like...
The archives.
Yeah.
They go through his memories, and Wave starts picking up on different clues here and there. They eventually find the 3 eggs. They go to different places like The Shining, which we thought was really wonderful. That whole
that
sequence
was so wonderful.
was beautiful. And eventually the bad guy goes to blow up everybody, but what he doesn't know is when he was visiting the library, this guy gave him a quarter. The accountant,
The curator.
the curator, gave him a quarter because he lost a bet. But what it wasn't a quarter. It was a extra life. So he gets to sit there and beat the game, gets the Easter egg, all that kind of stuff.
And
the bad guys get
wins.
caught. The good guys win. It's a classic Spielberg 80s, like,
Yeah.
beautiful ending.
Yeah. If they could have like at the end freeze framed at a high 5, it would have been
Oh, yeah.
complete.
One thing that I really do like, I mean, something in the synopsis we'll talk about in the movie, but like the
Power of love. That's what it should have been.
the way that you would find ways to get to the Easter eggs or beat challenges is your knowledge of what Holiday loved. And what Holiday loved was just everything that's 80s or 90s nerd culture stuff, which
I thought that was pretty cool.
well, I mean, like that's the thing about like heroes in like stories. Like it's not sometimes based how strong, but also how cunning they are. And this one is purely based on around like how geeks and nerds, like how much knowledge do they actually have of the culture.
I mean, there are like,
And that's the cred. That's the credibility.
There's
you
that
have.
scene where he's getting fed information where he's like, neither of those. It's Fast Times at Ridgemont High. That's not one of the high schools.
yeah. I mean, that's the kind of information. I mean, we always say all levels of nerd are welcome, but I mean, that is a nerd of the highest level.
School us.
They would school the shit out of even us.
Yeah.
I mean,
That'd be like if I wanted to talk Lord of the Rings and Stephen Colbert showed up. I'd be like, oh, fuck.
I'd probably be in like the heights. Well, I mean, in that universe, yeah. I mean, like the funny thing is because it ends at a certain point when Holiday died, right? So like certain things we'll talk about in differences, like how they included Overwatch and stuff like that. So it was kind of interesting.
Well, I mean,
versus the book.
Because the book had a lot of 80s references. And I remember when Spielberg was announced, he said that he wanted to try his best to not use any of his IPs, any of his properties at all. because he
will try.
He said he would feel weird doing that.
Iron Giant is his though, right?
No,
I thought he had a hand in Iron Giant.
Well, because it's DreamWorks, and he created DreamWorks.
But he just said because there's a lot more Spielberg in the book.
Oh, is there?
So it's one of those things that it was like a dream thing where it was like, oh my God, Steven Spielberg is going to direct this. But it's like
Can you give us some like which ones are used in there?
Well, I mean, something that was really cool is the fact that like the audiobook that came out the same year that the book was published was narrated by Will Wheaton. And Will Wheaton's mentioned in the book.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
So it's like that was the kind of the cool thing about the book was that there was like, again, like if you were just alive in the 80s or the 90s at all, you know any of the references that he talks about. Like you couldn't pass one without like, oh, I know that. I may not know 99 of them, but I'll know 1 out of 100 for sure. And it's just jam packed with that kind of stuff.
I think that's why, you know, on the surface level, I was giddy during the movie. It was because it was like my entire life of entertainment in front
I
of
cried.
me.
I'll be perfectly honest. I cried
I mean,
at one point.
And we've talked about it before where like a film rewards. And I think what the cool thing about games, and we talked about this as well, like a game and a movie are kind of like they're melding into each other. We talk about cinematic cut scenes, and we talk about like interactive like movies where they're engaging with the audience, and like they're understanding that the audience is a person that knows a culture. So like this movie does really well is it rewards audiences for knowing what the culture is around them. The same way that a video game rewards you for like paying attention to something at the beginning of the game.
Exactly.
So like differences of like in the book specifically, Josh, you could probably lead me a lot of it, but I mean the cinematic race in the beginning of the film is not really a race. There's more of an understanding of Wade in high school, in a digital high school. How he gets the first key is like through a jousting battle.
If you want me to go over really quickly, like what the differences are,
I think you could name out 5 on the top of your head, like the big ones specifically that were
what are the
huge.
biggest ones you could think of?
Like how he gets the first key is a big one, I think.
Yeah, the way he gets the first key, like here's the thing about the adaptation that I really enjoyed is that I was thinking about it, and the introduction to where they are,
the whole narration
would have taken a longer time. It was chapters
talking about the
getting
OASIS?
to the place where the movie started.
Okay.
Like about the stacks and stuff?
About the stacks and
The OASIS itself.
the how far he is into the game.
Okay.
In terms of the hunt.
Got
But like the first one, the copper key, he had to beat Dungeons and he had to find a Dungeons and Dragons like cave, and then he had to beat Asarak at a game of Joust.
Wow.
An arcade, and then he had to reenact the entire movie of War Games.
War Games.
Line for line.
He had to role play Matthew Broderick's character.
Oh my God.
For the second one, for the Jade Key, but
Shout
in
out
the
to
movie
Matthew
it was that epic race. See, in the book there was also
Interesting.
in the book
That's so
there was
different.
a challenge, so to speak. You got the key, you opened something, and then it was another challenge.
Yeah.
And so in the movie
There's no
there was just
downtime
like,
in between.
yeah. And so the second challenge,
It's kind of like a real video game where like you have to do a certain amount of quests and unlock something, and then that unlocking is the challenge.
Right.
yeah,
It's not just getting the key and that's it.
yeah. For the second challenge, he had to complete a text-based game, and then pass a Blade Runner replicant test,
Yeah.
and then
It's something
complete the arcade game Black Tiger. And then in the movie, that was the Stanley Kubrick The Shining, which I thought was amazingly done. It was very funny.
The Stanley Kubrick, the moment they were walking down the steps and it's just the complete recreation of how that set looked like. I was like, that is crazy.
And to be perfectly honest, it's been now a couple of years since I read it the second time, but I'm not completely on these challenges, so I'm just kind of brushing over. The third challenge was actually the closest to what it was like.
The game adventure.
But the game adventure, and the sphere, like the battle.
The Orb of Azeroth.
Yeah. But part of the challenge of the third challenge was he had to reenact Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
That's why they have the holy hand grenade, which I thought was great.
So, it
1,
was
2, 5. 3.
And how he gets the quarter is different. He has to.
He just found this random arcade in the book, and he just
had a complete perfect game.
And he just wanted to. He didn't. There was no purpose of it. He was just like, oh, this is cool. I've got to beat the high score. And he got this random quarter, and he had no no idea what it was used for. It was just in his inventory.
Which I still feel like they captured that bit of like you're mindlessly playing a game, because he talks about that with playing adventure, like the idea. And I think when I first heard the idea of the movie, I talked to some of my friends from back home. Shout out to my friends Charlie and Ian, and they're talking about the love of the book came from the fact that like it's not about like missions and doing this. It's kind of like you love the culture and the history of everything around it.
You just want to be around it.
And it was more of like you're again, it's kind of like you're just exploring.
Yeah.
And you're rewarded more and more for how much you play the game versus like, you know, these Easter egg things.
Yeah.
You know, the Easter eggs are part of the fun, but the thing is like you're having fun already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Artemis in the movie had a little bit more play in the action that happened to the story. Like, she was introduced much earlier, like from it, like face to face, much earlier than when in the book. In the
IRL.
book, yeah, IRL. They didn't meet face to face until after the hunt was done.
Oh, interesting.
In the book.
And then they kissed.
Yeah, and at one point, she blocks him when he says, "I love you." Like, we did see that. She completely blocks him and goes weeks without talking and all this kind of stuff because she just wanted to focus on the hunt.
Right.
And
Because that's what Artemis is based off of, is the goddess of the hunt.
And the prison thing,
Yeah.
the prison thing was actually Wade.
Yeah.
He purposefully went into the prison,
loyalty center,
the loyalty center, so he could hack them
and go through the black market.
Yeah, but I mean, here's the thing: it was a great adaptation. I think.
Yeah.
Well,
they did a good job of
I think
transferring.
Yeah, they took the liberties of it so that it was well balanced. And you know, I mean, you could have went the route of like purely, you know, having it where it's just based off the book, and then have Wade be this kind of like Mary Poppins awesome dude.
Yeah.
But even then, like, there's like months that pass by in the book that they don't really show in real time in the movie.
Right.
Like, it's like 5 months later till they find like another key.
They polished it for Hollywood.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a character dies in the book.
Yeah, Daito dies in the book.
Yeah, Daito dies.
He gets like one
in
of
real life. Like
that's what gets Sorrento arrested, is that Sorrento has people break into Daito's house and throws him out of a building.
Wow.
And it's like, that's intense.
dark.
Shit.
It's much darker.
Super dark.
But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of things, but here's the thing. Like we've talked about, I personally think it's like you can't argue about movies that are based on comic books.
Right.
It's a run of this thing. It's an adaptation.
It's Spielberg's run, okay?
It would take movies to do it justice. I'm putting this in air quotes because...
Well, do you think on that, I mean, do you think they could have done like a trilogy where it's like a key per film?
Yeah, but then like I was thinking myself, I
think it could have been 2.
I think it could be 2. That was my thought, was just 2. Like, because 3, I'm like, that's a little much.
Would the second one be called Ready Player 2?
Ready Player 1, 2? Oh my God. Yeah.
1 again.
But it would be probably called like Ready Player 1 Saga. And it's like, I'm done. Or Ready Player 1 Story. But I mean, the thing that I liked about the movie comparatively is the fact that they did take the liberties of giving Artemis more play, giving Samantha more play. Because
Not Sam.
Not Sam.
Not Sam.
And not having Daito die, and like the thing that, you know, you can argue that it potentially could have been stretched out to a longer movie or something like that. But does anyone remember and love when the movie was just one movie?
Yeah.
And remember, like, it was just all contained. You didn't need an origin story for every goddamn
my
character.
qualms.
You know,
we'll get into.
Yeah, I mean, like, it didn't have to. Like, you don't have to explain every single thing as if it was its own standalone movie and make a Ready Player 1 universe. Like, come on. Like, there is an art form of making one movie and then jam-packing with as much stuff as possible and cutting out the things that you didn't need. Because, I mean, the book even itself had its own, like, backlash and stuff like that. But this movie here, like, it will not get the same backlash for what the book did. It will get different ones, which I think is okay, because we live in a space where those two things can be referential of each other and still have its same setbacks, but also have the same strengths.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about some of those
favorite moments?
No, some of the backlashes.
I mean, I can.
What did the book get?
I mean, from what I understand, and this is only because I've read some Twitter posts, some people did not like the way that Ernest Cline represented Artemis. She was more of like a trophy. She was more of like just an object. And in
Okay.
fact, like Wade is kind of stalking her in a way, and just like focusing so much on her.
It was a good change.
Yeah,
That
it
they
was.
did for the
I thought
film.
it was a good change. There are some people that are saying
I would
that
feel like she was closer to like what you would perceive as a video game character,
Like an actual.
or a female video game character in like an older video game, where
Yeah.
like they're kind of their own character by itself and their own mission, like an Ada Wong from Resident Evil, and then like at the very end, then it gets resolved, and then they kiss at the end, and that's it.
yeah.
In this, she felt more 3-dimensional.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt so too. I felt like she got. At first, I was like, "Oh, but it's Wade that goes to the prison." But I was like, "No, give her more screen time."
Yeah.
I mean, she's in the book. She's much more of a badass character. Like she almost solves the first challenge before Wade, and he just happens to figure it out and get there and do it. But still, it's like Artemis is a cool ass character. She's a badass.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, they established her that scene 1.
I don't think you can really have a character named
that
Artemis
slide
and not be
under
a
that
badass.
tanker was dope.
Right.
yeah,
On the Tron
Super
bike,
dope.
She
the
read-
light bike.
no.
Not the Tron
Akira.
bike.
Akira.
Sorry.
Akira, you uncultured gal. I'm kidding. You're welcome here, Chicory.
Wow.
Thank you.
I hate it when mom and dad fight.
Yeah.
So, favorite moments, or did you want to spend some more time on that?
No, I mean, I think we're at favorite.
I mean, if
moments.
everybody at home, like, here's the thing. I don't know. We don't know everything. So if you know more about this,
I've seen.
totally send us comments because
Yeah.
I want to know more
I
about.
want to look into this, and I saw it as of the recording of this. I've seen it the same day
Yeah.
that we're recording this, so I haven't had a chance to like scour the internet and
Yeah.
see what people are saying. But the couple bits I came up with was I guess a insulting portrayal of gamers, which I did not pick up on.
I didn't
At
get
all.
that at all.
Yeah.
I love that it's like I mean, if you take the rules of that story and translate it to a game, there'd be issues. But like, I don't feel like I'm being patronized or
yeah.
anything on
I
on
actually
that level.
I thought it was a good.
I thought it was a great representation.
Well, I thought
Yeah.
it was a good kind of like showing what companies that do microtransactions. I think it's good commentary on what's
sure.
going on in the gaming industry
Absolutely.
right now. Like I was perfectly.
To me, it was accurate, if anything.
it
Yeah.
was kind of like it showed like what actual gamers.
I is EA.
Yeah.
Yes.
It shows what gamers are going through now
Hashtag we don't want your sponsorship.
as if it was actual like livelihood, as if your actual life resolved around the video game.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I loved how it's like, oh, I've seen all her Twitch streams. Like, yeah, that is sometimes how you fucking like get to know somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my big thing is like I really like that it focused on the topic of like escapism.
Mhm.
Like the world is in its absolute like worst shape ever,
Mhm.
and like to cope with it, currently today, we see video games. or
We
play
go
video
sailing
games,
on
go
a
see
ship
movies.
and take treasure
go
chests.
go be pirates on
Your
the high
electronic
seas.
avatar is worth real world money.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh man, I remember when I would play World of Warcraft and people were selling accounts for like thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I remember that in RuneScape. I was like, "What do you mean sell your account? Why don't you just?" That was
But
crazy.
it was crazy to see that extreme of like how it affected the real world, like his aunt's like boyfriend or whatever, and his aunt like ready to kick him out if he touched her like
Gloves.
controllers, basically.
Her
Yeah.
gloves.
Like it's that important of a thing that's that affecting society that much.
Right.
And it can affect like they were so mad at him because he was about to win a match that would make them enough money
Pay
to
for the
move
house
Get
or
some
something.
the artifact.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like I loved when I mean, can this move to favorite
parts?
moments?
Yeah, let's
I
go
mean,
favorite
because
parts.
it was kind of to do when IROC was like, dude, I've got like 10 years of stuff
in my
in my
mind.
inventory
Yeah.
right now. So don't do
Which is
that
hold
thing.
on.
And then when you see him explode, it's like tons of
all
shit.
that
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Which is one thing that is a little weird because like any of the gamers at home, like you think about it, usually you have your avatars and stuff like that, but you have an inventory too, and you have like a box, an item.
Well, I mean,
box.
I don't think they have it in Oasis.
The whole-
Literally, when you die, you lose
Yeah,
everything.
the
I
whole
think-
game
So
was
I think his whole thing is he never had died before.
I think the idea is that is the mechanic is like you are yourself, so there is a reason to care and preserve yourself.
yeah,
preserve
exactly.
yourself.
You're
Right.
your inventory.
yeah,
Yeah,
so,
that whole game is permadeath.
yeah,
Yeah,
which is crazy. I mean, you can
Or zero
respawn,
out.
but you respawn with nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't
But
know.
yeah, that's what
Yeah.
like there's like people who play through certain games with permadeath
Mhm.
to where like see how far like play through
Diablo.
Zelda or something or
I did
Diablo.
it with Diablo.
Yeah, and then when you're done. You have to delete the character.
Oh.
Hardcore mode on
Would you die
Diablo
once?
2 is Diablo 3.
I
is
did that with
intense.
Kingdom Hearts, and I just don't save. and that was intense. That was really intense.
I saw someone do it with Destiny, and he made it through a very long time, and then he got like physics killed from like some like weird like part of the environment.
Misadventure. Or
Yeah, it was
whatever.
misadventure.
Oh,
Oh, and so he just deleted it?
Yeah, he's like that's it.
Yeah,
But
that's
favorite
what OASIS is.
parts. So, Josh, did you say your favorite part?
Was that it?
I mean, no, that was
one of
fun.
them.
I love when the Chucky was a weapon.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Try this.
And how many he took out?
Yeah, it was so good. It was so funny.
That's the only F word, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Fucking Chucky.
Yeah, because that's the PG-13. You can
Yep.
say fucking as
Can't be
long
in
as it's
context
not
of sex.
Exactly. Because there's a lot of words that is shit. I was like, you're full of shit. It's like, are you shitting me? It's like, Jesus, like, calm down with that
Shit
word.
has not become a cuss word. I think it's no longer a cuss word these
Yeah.
days.
When he won the first challenge, I cried.
When
When he pulled in,
with the
It was
DeLorean
beautiful.
going backwards, you see like the floating trumpets and horns. Yeah.
going through the challenge, like underneath, like him figuring it out. Like I was just like, that's a lot of fun. It's just, it was
Seeing
a
the wireframe
fun
of
movie.
the game above it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Spawning,
see the
like,
well, the cool thing is you
the
show the
T-Rex and stuff.
mechanics.
Yeah.
I was like, that's dope. I mean, that goes along with the whole entire race is really awesome. Like
Yeah.
seeing the Batmobile, seeing Akira bike, seeing the DeLorean, seeing King Kong jump off a building, seeing a T-Rex, and
Yeah.
you hear that, that roar that you're like, oh, that's that.
Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, but second time watching, I'm like, oh, of course he put the T-Rex in there.
And if you were listening, because it's Silvestri, you were getting some of the Back to the Future thing in
Mm-hmm.
there.
Oh man, there was one point I
When the
returned
Zemeckis
to-
cube.
Yeah, when he does the Zemeckis cube, it does
And then
that.
right after-
Yeah.
And I was like, yes.
So good.
I love
Um,
at the end when he's like waking up like in the house, or when he visits Artemis's like childhood, not Artemis, but
Holiday's house.
Holiday's childhood house,
Mhm.
and it's like da-da-da.
Yeah, you hear notes.
Chime.
You hear notes of it. You're like, you hear the wind chime thing. I was like, oh, like
One of my favorite moments was, and I had many, but this one stuck out to me at the end when you see Augie and he's like, sign this contract. They want you to do whatever. And he says, I want to split it with everybody. And
good
Simon
choice.
Pegg had this really wonderful bit of acting he did when he says good choice, that he was like really touched because he was on the other side where he didn't want, his friend didn't want to share it with him.
Yeah.
And he wanted him out. So to hear him say, I want to share this with you, he had this like almost holding back tears moment, and he just says good choice. And I got
I'm even
goosebumps.
right now, I'm like, oh God, because
Such a little thing, but it stuck
Yeah,
out to
yeah.
me.
and in the book, Og comes in a lot earlier, and he lives.
his
in Oregon.
avatar comes in a little bit earlier, but also at the end, he's like their saving grace.
Yeah.
He has like this mansion that he has built in.
And he has, like,
his
immersion
own
pods.
Oasis
Yeah.
pods, and he's like, do it. Let's take him down. And
Love
like,
it. I like that. That would have been cool to see. I love Simon
yeah.
Pegg. So
Yeah, I mean, I think the cool thing that this movie tried to do is try to remove him as much as possible, so that they could still have like these kids who take down the giant empire.
Spielberg.
Yeah.
So they can Spielberg it.
Spielberg, exactly.
They're making it a teen film.
but also like a kid movie too. I mean,
Yeah.
a second time watching it, there was a bunch of kids in that theater. I was like, whoa. And
Yeah.
it was crazy to hear like parents kind of explaining it to like their little daughter.
I liked that.
And I was like,
there were people sitting next to me going, oh my gosh, it's that. Oh my God. Like, it's like,
I
There were
freaked out
people
when I
be-
saw the Spartans.
yeah.
Freaked out. And the Ninja Turtles. I was like, fuck.
every time I saw, it was funny because I was like, there were Marvel video games there. I was like, why is there no? Oh, it's Warner Brothers movie.
Yeah. That's why it spawned.
Well, that's why I had like
Batman.
Arkham Knight. That's why I
Batman.
had Batgirl. That's why I had Batman. I was like, but where the hell is Iron Man? I was like, these are more
Yeah.
yeah. But I was like,
remember?
but it could have been, a Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and could have been, but they would have to share the screen time.
Yeah.
But Ali called it before the episode. My favorite part was Mechagodzilla's coming out, wrecking shit,
Yep.
and then Iron Giant's fighting. But who comes out nowhere?
Take form of
Gundam, because he got the artifact from the beginning of the movie on the planet Doom,
Yep.
and could choose the form of a giant robot for 2 minutes. He chose Gundam, and it was the original Gundam, not Wing Gundam, not Unicorn Gundam, not Barbatos. It was the original Gundam, which was, he looks kind of funky, but like seeing him do like,
Well,
everything
no,
he did,
just like him appearing and like in the air, hits the pose,
hits the post
Oh, yeah.
and jumps down,
and then gets down.
Well,
You're
also
like,
every time
okay.
he did one of those samurai like one hit attacks and would slide back and then have the sword like outside. I was like, this is
Although
dope.
Tom, there's a small part of Tom that wishes it was Voltron.
I mean, Gundam. I mean, you hear about Voltron, you hear about Megazord, you hear about like all these robots combined, Captain Planet, but you don't hear like the collectivism
Although-
of like Gundam.
I probably would have lost my shit more if it was Megazord. I probably would have
That
been
would've
like,
been-
I would have been on my seat screaming if it was just like the OG Mighty Morphin.
And then you just hear,
Yeah. And you can use that as their fight song. Oh! Sorry for those Gundam fans out there, but
See,
that
I
would have
grew up with Gundam. And I
been
mean,
legit.
I grew up with Power Rangers, and I've watched more Power Rangers than I watched Gundam. But the thing is, like, I feel like Gundam, for all those youngins out there, have been so slept on. And I'm just like, gotta represent the Japanese people for one time.
Power Rangers is Japanese.
But I mean, it had the American localization and popularity where like most people who aren't even in the anime like universe.
I'll say there it's a deeper pull for Gundam. Like it was more niche nerd.
I agree with
to
that.
pull
Yeah.
Gundam in.
I mean, like it's kind of like if you saw a Neopets, like cool, but then if you saw like a Pokemon, you're like, oh my god, Pokemon. Like there was a deeper pull, yeah, it would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, that was one of
As
my
long as
favorite
they don't do
parts.
Digimon, that's fine by me.
Another favorite part I think was actually at the very end when Wade talks to Og and was like, but the thing that Holiday missed the most was you. And he was like, you're his rosebud, mentioning fucking Citizen Kane,
Yep.
the film theorist wet dream. But you know, like you saw that like bit of that tear, that inner tear that like Og had, where he's like, you know, Holiday always said like the OASIS is not a one-player game. I was like, I was getting choked. I was like, God damn,
Yeah.
that's hella
It
good.
was fun.
Yeah, I think my favorite. I have a lot of favorite parts.
Yeah.
that Mecha Godzilla
Keep 'em
fight
coming.
was incredible. But I think I just loved seeing there was a few moments that just like took me out. I'm like, oh man, like have a little nerdgasm.
Mhm.
It was seeing like Iron Giant like
Yeah.
rendered in like
Yeah.
and like real
Well,
life,
standing
quote unquote.
right behind him. Yeah.
Yeah,
fighting
but
and,
like in movie
Yeah.
CGI,
Yeah.
not like cartoon CGI.
Yeah.
Like I want a real life adaptation of Iron
I would-
Giant.
Yeah.
It was
I would
so
love
good.
that.
It looked so good.
Yeah.
I loved the Shining sequences.
Oh my
Like,
god.
I think that might have been my
seeing
favorite
H
part.
running. He's like, hey, little girls, you know how to get out of here? Also, it's like,
I wish.
When that happened, the whole theater went, oh.
When he's pressing the elevator button.
well, to me, I was just laughing. It's like, hey, show is it scary? I never watched it. I have to watch the movie through my fingers.
And I love it's like an 11-year-old kid.
Yeah, it's 11-year-old.
So I have not seen The Shining.
Oh, get out.
Yeah.
What?
Because it's a horror movie and it came out when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to see it. So, and I
All right,
just
we're going to
never-
pause.
Yeah, we need to pause. And I'm like, God, part of me wishes that like I could have seen that before because I wonder if it would have affected me differently. But then I wasn't.
You
I
would have
was
been
just
like,
in-
oh, damn.
I
I was just in the seat of
Yeah.
H's point of view. So I was like,
I was just.
There you go. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I like the way you twisted that. All right. I appreciate it now.
I was laughing hysterically the first time I watched it because I'm just like, H is going to get shitted on so hard
Oh, yeah.
because of all this nonstop. Like the ones like the blood happened. All of a sudden, Room 237 was like, oh my god.
and he's like, I'm just going
Those
to go
were
with
all-
this.
yeah.
I'm going to ride this out.
and then all of a sudden ended in the snow. I was like, oh my god.
I assumed this were all references, but it
Huge
was
references.
over
Yeah.
my head.
Huge references.
Well, it's just this thing of like any scary movie and someone not knowing what's going to happen to it. You're kind of like, I'm going to watch this. And you're just enjoying them go through the
Yeah,
ride.
he basically fell into, or she, I should say,
Yeah.
fell into every trap of that horror movie. Like, think of your favorite horror movie and
Yeah.
imagine watching someone walk
Into every single one
blindfolded
of the-
into every single fucking thing.
and so
then
you're
we
just
saw-
counting on the fact that like they're going to get so scared.
And then
They're
we
like,
saw
oh, that's this thing.
we saw the dancing
Mhm.
zombies, and I was like, maybe I need to see The Shining. And then I was like, no, this
No,
is
it's not
this
in
is
the
It's
not
not for the
Shining. I was
Shining.
like, oh.
It's very Disney-esque, that part.
Yeah.
Which, you know,
Reminded me of the Haunted Hotel.
And I
Oh,
like
yeah,
that
yeah,
it
it
wasn't
was.
kissing the girl. It was dancing.
dancing with the girl. Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved that.
Mhm.
One thing I did kind of found kind of funny was that before they got into the Shining world, all the DVDs trickled down. I swear, I don't know,
Not DVDs.
or VHSs. I don't
There it
know
is.
who was in charge of that sequence or that, but I literally saw like 5 different Batman like
Yeah.
Mhm.
VHS covers.
Oh,
I'm like,
for sure.
they could have put more VHS covers in there. But like, I just saw a bunch of different like Batman, like the gold symbol. I was like, okay, that's
I
cool.
loved Halliday's room. Like there was things like in
Rush.
the book. Yeah, Rush is a big thing.
Yeah,
in
it's
the
in
book.
it's in the book. Yeah.
And there were like Rush posters. I just was like, they didn't put aside everything.
Yeah.
And so it was the whole movie. I feel like, okay, guys, this wasn't meant really to be the Ready Player One book. I mean, really, in my opinion, it's like this is an adaptation. It is just meant to be fun. It's not meant to change your life or anything like that. So I walked in going, this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
I mean, there were so many little things that were like, you just needed someone to just like wink at you.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you remember? Remember that? Wasn't that fun?
But also,
Wasn't that cool too? You remember that video game you played? Mm-hmm.
also I would say like this is supposed to be not the, but a Ready Player One movie.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like it's like a comic book version of the book, right? So it's like you got more pictures, so it kind of explicitly explains some stuff, but also took liberties and it condensed it. You know, so I mean, I like my friends from back home, like who read the book, enjoyed it, and so I mean, like there is that divide of people who who want the Snyder, who's like going to be to the T of everything of the book, but then that'll be like a 6-hour long movie. Right. Or there's gonna be people who love this because they know for what the movie was trying to be,
what it's symbolizing. Yeah.
I mean, I've read just on Facebook. Like sometimes you have to just like put Facebook aside, but you see people are like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And then you just see like the first comment just shitting on it, and you're like, yeah, "I get your point. It's not that I'm closed-minded and I'm seeing your point. And I'm like, okay, I can kind of see where you came with that, but it's like you missed the point. Then
I don't think part of the marketing campaign what that was saying like this is the word for word adaptation of the book. So I mean like
I mean from what you've told me, it seems like they put all the
essentials,
all the creative liberties.
Yeah, the outline.
All the creative liberties were put on Front Street.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So like there was no confusion that this was not going to be super accurate.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No movie adaptation ever is. And I think that's just something we got to get past as a culture.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's like how sometimes I really do want to be like
only Watchmen, but even that was like
no, they still
panned.
had like differences.
It was still divisively panned. They didn't have any of the small comic book in the movie and all that.
The ending was changed.
The ending was changed, and then that was
so like we just got to get past that as a culture that no adaptation is going to be.
It's an adaptation.
Yeah.
It's
you want to know something that's good as the book? The book.
A movie's not a book.
Exactly.
That's what it is. A movie's not a book. It's not going to work the same way on screen as it does on the book.
Do you like Darth Vader?
Right. As Patton Oswalt said. Yeah. I don't want to know where the things I love come from. I just love the things I love. So like, it's going to be part of it. Build that into your, like when you go to see a movie of a book you love, I get it. It's probably your favorite book, whatever. Like just go in knowing it's going to be a little different.
Yeah.
Or
like
it might be a lot of different.
My buddy did that with Hitchhiker's Guide. Like it's one of his favorite books. And he's like, I went in knowing it was going to be different and I came out happy. And I was like, great. Ever since then, I've taken
If you prepare yourself and don't go into, I mean, this is for any movie, I think. If you don't go into it with all these expectations, just go in and be like, you know what? I'm just going to be entertained. And if you want to analyze, like really analyze, watch it again. Then you can go, okay, I've enjoyed it, but now I'm going to watch it again so I can get all qualm up in here.
I'm going to do what Josh does. I'm going to violently make this weird turn.
Ooh, like violently change the conversation.
You know what? If you aggressively have an expectation of a movie, you know what? I don't think that movie has an aggressive expectation of you, and most people shouldn't, because they're going to be definitely disappointed when they meet you. And that's the thing with reality.
Whoa.
You should not have expectations for the first time seeing something, even if you've heard about it. Like, again, it's always like when you see something for the first time, have zero expectations.
There's the saying that says leave your expectations at the door.
Yeah. You're a clean slate.
Mm-hmm.
With that, I think we can move into qualms and then later go on to other things that we want to talk about.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
let's do some let's do some qualms. Let's talk about favorite characters and then let's rate it like we always do.
Yep.
Exactly. So for me, qualm off the cuff, I'm gonna be like, I remember when this movie was in production and Spielberg was trying to get Gene Wilder to come out of retirement for this movie. Because James Halliday is based off of Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
That would have been perfect.
And I cry a little bit on the inside to think like, oh, imagine the movie. But you know what? Fucking Mark Rylance is great.
He killed it.
He was awesome.
Shout out to him. I've loved him ever since Bridge of Spies, which spoilers, Bridge of Spies is not a bridge made out of spies.
What? I thought.
But I loved him. I thought he was great. I thought he played that cool kind of kooky, eccentric, but also kind of not always there because he's always like the ideas he has are more important than what's actually happening in reality, which is a really poignant like lesson in the movie. Mm-hmm. So that turned into like a thing I loved. But another thing, I actually wish the movie was a little bit longer. I wish the movie. It's
interesting.
Like, I'm in that audience.
I'm laughing only because I know what Corey's qualming is.
Because I'm a fan of, I'm one of those people who's like, I'm on Netflix. I'm scrolling for 20 minutes because I'm like, I'm not ready for this movie. I'm not ready for this movie. I'm not ready for this movie because sometimes the subject matter is too heavy, or sometimes it's super long and it has to engage you. But I mean, a movie that's like 3 hours long or something like that, and I know it's going to be quality, like a Lord of the Rings or something like that. Corey, you should like that. I'm okay with that. I'm totally okay with it.
Doesn't work like that.
Here's what
It's
like,
3 hours. That means you'll like it. Oh, okay.
Well, no. But if you know it's quality, I mean, there's a 2.5 hour long movie, which I'm like, I'm not going to watch this. Sometimes there's a 74-minute horror movie. I'm like,
sometimes there's a 45-minute
I agree
Netflix
with that,
episode.
and I'm not saying that this is like matches the quality of Spielberg's like early work or earlier work, but it's as easy to watch as any Spielberg film is to watch. Like you
It's
can
a Spielberg film.
If Jaws is on, if Jurassic World, not Jurassic World, but if Jurassic Park is on, you're gonna watch it. Like it's just easy watching. It's entertaining. It's fun. There's charm to it.
Yeah.
So I get that. I get that sentiment.
Well, I mean, and I don't know why I've had this taste lately, and this is some baggage I bring in. I wouldn't mind if
Leave your baggage at the door, Tom.
I'm sorry. I got mine checked in by security, so it's
okay.
good. But I would have liked like some sequences to be like a little bit longer on the emotion. Like there's one where right when the aunt dies and the stacks fall down, he sits down for a second and he's like, no, this is before that. Sorry, he's making the deal with where he's talking to Sorrento for the first time. Yeah. And he's like taking a breath and there's a wide and then it goes into a close up of his face. I would have liked it to be a little bit longer. Like, I don't know how, but like just stay on that emotion for a little bit longer because you could tell that the movie was like cut in a way where all the pacing is pretty well paced out. Like it wasn't like this super huge rush. The entire movie is pretty much just rushed. Like it felt like it's this race to get to the keys. Race.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
Really?
No, I mean, I'll let you finish your point first. I'll get to mine.
I would have want like these longer pauses where like you could kind of stay with like there's a sadness with this character when this person dies or like there's more confusion. One thing that really kind of like showed me like how they intentionally created pauses was in the Shining sequence is when all this blood is rushing everywhere and he's trying to run and escape. H is trying to run and escape. And then they're like running, trying to find out like they have 60 seconds left because they have the key. And then all of a sudden, like they're like, then all of a sudden H says, "Oh, I saw Karen or Kira," and then they all like, "What?" And they all fall, and that's when the music stops, and they cut to the picture frame. Like it was appropriate-ish, and but purposeful amount of like we need to reset the pace because it needs to go into the slowing dance sequence stuff instead of this like run for your life, cutting editing.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean for me, I would have wanted a little bit longer.
I'd like it longer, but I want to hear because this is just for humor's sake.
Not I, says
Corey.
Okay.
Corey's rebuttal.
For me, there was pacing where I felt it dragged towards the end.
Which part?
Well, I was telling Josh this earlier. It was like when they got the second key, I kind of looked inside myself and I went, fuck, they still need another key. Like I was ready to get to the
makes me
climax
think you didn't like the movie.
Point. I did like it. I really did. But there's only so much CGI explosion I can handle before my brain checks out. That's the honest part of it. Like that whole battle part at the end and his speech was great. Thought it dragged. But there's only so much my eyes can handle before I go, I get it. They're fighting.
Yeah.
Like that's honestly what happened in my brain. I was like, I want to move back to the story.
Matrix Reloaded.
Matrix Reloaded. I fucking hate that film. I can't stand it. I wanted to get back to the story. And I was like, I get it. It's cool. We're seeing all these references. It's very exciting. But that whole fight to me could have been 5 minutes shorter. To me,
that specific sequence, I was right there with you where I was like, as soon as it started, I was like, there's no stakes in this fight.
No.
I know that shield's just going to come down from the inside. They're not contributing anything towards it. It made sense afterwards because they had to fight through the IOI army, like afterwards. But that initial part, that ramp up to where the shield was going down, I feel like that part could have been shortened or
taken out. Maybe the fight starts after. Like maybe they get the shield down. What's his name comes out as Godzilla, and then an army fucking comes over the mountain like in Lord of the Rings Helm's Deep. They think all is lost, and boom, it comes along.
The action only started when the shield came down.
Right. So for that little 10-15 minute section, I was kind of checked out. The Gundam thing was cool. It was great. But by that time, I had already lost interest, is the weird part.
I want to create a little bit of a discussion about that because I almost compare that to the beginning race where the race is a huge CGI action bit, right? But it's kind of like to your point, you're not tired of it yet because it's kind of driving you into the world and the craziness and
but
the
2 hours
possibility.
in,
and then 2 hours in, where now it's kind of like this is kind of the culmination of like where everyone's come to, and everyone's at their final form. So it does show like, because the thing I've always found in film theory is when action happens, plot stops, and it's really tough to make an action sequence plot driven. Yeah. So movies like The Matrix, the first one where Neo first fights beats Agent Smith, is one of the greatest fight scenes ever because it's this final point in the narrative where like everyone said you can't beat him and it's blah, blah, blah. And so I would agree to Corey's point, to the point where the fight should have started right when the shield came down. Because the thing is, the narrative point of that fight is that the entire world is now galvanized to stop IOI. And that's it. There doesn't need to be too much of like all this stuff, but
it's also a visual standpoint for me too. Like it's a sensory thing. So like the reason movies like Blade Runner stuck out so much to me is you have these dark worlds with vibrant colors. The issue with a lot of the movies that they're referencing now, like the new Ninja Turtles or stuff like that, is there are all these muted colors. So everything started to blend together for me, and it was hard for me to see every reference. It wasn't the easiest thing
to look at.
Yeah, everything's these very like dark greens or dark blues or whatever. Like Tracer stood out because she's bright orange and white, and I would have liked to see maybe more of that. Like maybe the Ninja Turtles were the old like fucking 90s cartoon Ninja Turtles, or something that was a little more poppy to me because I got this Transformer effect during that whole segment.
Maybe there should have been lightsabers.
That would have been dope if there were lightsabers. That's great, but like I needed a little more juxtaposition to color. I also, I guess by the end of it, I didn't fear the bad guy. Like 30 minutes towards the end, I was like, well, it doesn't fucking matter at this point. Like even when he had the gun and was walking towards the van, I was like, no, it's not gonna, nothing's gonna happen. So I think the stakes were lost a little early for me from that point on. And I think that maybe that's why I felt the movie could have been shorter, is because the last half hour I was kind of like, it's done. And it felt like that same thing people complain about with the Lord of the Rings, where there's like 8 different endings. And I kind of felt that way. I felt we could have cut 20 out and I would have been happy.
So this will be fun.
I guess to that point, like I think some of my main qualms were that it didn't feel, and maybe this is just, I don't know how much of this is pulled from the book or whatever, but
right. I mean, we're just talking film right now because I didn't read the book. Right. I'm sure the book is paced a lot better than that.
For the film, I felt like I wanted more clever video gamey stuff going on, as opposed to just like, hey, look, it's Tracer. Hey, look, it's Donatello.
Character reference wise.
Right. It's like I get
more
the references.
The Chucky stuff would have been great.
Yeah,
I love
like that
was
cool. You know, that was like purposeful, and it was like, it was a bit, you know, it was a gag. I would have loved to see more of that stuff as opposed to, hey, this is just a field full of character.
Like, what if
references.
someone was Mr. Potato Head? Like, that would have been something that pops.
But then, like, not just Mr. Potato Head, but like for a reason.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Like a depth to
like
the
we
references.
need someone to get up there and Tracer blinks up there.
Yeah,
and
or like a mage from World of Warcraft or something. Like, well, we need this because they do magic, et cetera, et cetera.
I like that.
A composition like in Overwatch or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I would have liked to see more purposeful.
Like the references are cool, but like use those references.
Right, like use those references.
Like when the Spartans use their laser to shoot shit down. Like when they all piled together on that thing. Yeah, like that. That would have been cool.
Like, well, I even love like the King Kong blocking the race. Like that. Like that was cool. You know what I mean? Like that was purposeful. It was used very intelligently, and I loved it. Because I loved all the references, you know, him like on the DeLorean, you know,
oh my God, that was beautiful.
Getting the coins and then buying fuel.
When he tossed the car out the first time, that was the coolest thing I've ever seen. There's these little bite-sized cars that they just toss out.
Because it was like the same mechanic you saw with Tron and the bikes, but except now it's a DeLorean.
Yeah.
Like the, even the, what was it? The cube.
The Zemeckis cube.
Zemeckis cube. Like
or the Holy Hand Grenade.
Holy Hand Grenade. Yeah. Like those were perfect references and used and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I would have let's see that a little more. And I guess I say between you two saying that like I do wish it was longer, but only if it trimmed the stuff that it didn't need, like some of the excess action.
A little more story.
And had a bit more story and a bit more character development. I would have loved to see a little bit more development with Wade. I felt
outside of the OASIS.
Outside of the OASIS, I felt like he didn't really change a whole lot throughout the movie. I'm trying to think, but I never felt like he wasn't necessarily like my number one main character that I'm like, you know.
I loved H.
H was great.
Yeah.
I think Artemis changed more.
We'll go into favorite characters.
Yeah.
Too. But
Joshua?
I guess what I wanted to say is that whole battle scene for me was a fucking wet dream for me because and again, it's baggage. I come to it with some baggage where it's like if you watch a show or if you watch anything, any kind of movie and it's adapted on something, I'm sorry to what is the phrase, kill a dead horse or something like that?
Beat a dead horse.
Beat a dead horse. I don't mean to do that. It's just like when I was watching it, I was like, ooh, this is fun because they know it wasn't like it was in the book, but I was watching it and I was like, oh, that's so much fun. That's so cool. And the battle, like, it was meant to be a distraction just so they could do everything that they were trying to do within the orb. And I think you're right. They're trying to fight this orb that they know cannot be attacked from
the outside.
So it's like, what's the point? But anyway, when it comes to like qualms.
Yeah, and I'm not disagreeing. I think the battle was great. It's just when it happened.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I needed to change.
Yeah.
And maybe a little shorter.
So Josh, no qualms?
No, I'm trying to think. Because I did have a qualm, but I was like, shit, I can't think of it.
Is it part of the book that he just leaves his password out like that?
Oh, that had nothing to. I don't even remember.
Because that bugged me a little bit.
Yeah.
Bossman 69?
Yeah, like, not even that. Like, I think that was hilarious. That made me giggle.
Because it was so douchey, bro. I was like, yeah, he
Yeah.
probably
But like
would
this
totally.
guy who has, holograms and shit like that is writing a ripped piece of Post-it on his chair. I didn't buy. I think that's a qualm I had. I thought they could have been a little more clever with that.
Yeah.
The fact that he off chance saw it, and like if you're gonna have holograms and people who you don't trust in your room, you would remove that regardless. It's not like it's something he forgot about. It's out in the open. He uses it every time he logs in.
I think that's a little bit of the Spielberg logic, though. That the villains are kind of dumb.
Not even though, because like it's almost too dumb. Like I almost would have liked it if it was on the back of like a cigarette container he had, or like something he took out without thinking. But it's out in the open 24/7.
Yeah.
Like that bugged me. That's a qualm of mine.
It's like you would have auto login, buddy.
Yeah, like you would have auto login, or like
You'd have a touch
what
ID.
if he wants him to sign something and he flips it open and on the back of it there's the password.
Possibly.
Like something a little more like showing that Wade is a little more aware than just like, oh, there's a password out in the open. Anyone could see. Like all of his people in the room. No. Anyway.
I feel really bad because I did have a qualm and then I forgot it.
That's totally fine.
I should have written it down.
You're welcome here too.
Yeah.
I did have qualms.
You should have wrote it down like he did.
Yeah.
Stuck
I
it
should
on
have
your
left
chair.
it on a sticky note on the side of my chair. I did have a qualm and now I can't even think of it.
That's fine.
I'm so mad right now.
That's okay. If you think of it through the rest of it, we'll go to like, if we want to move on to favorite characters from here, H was one of my favorites. I mean, I knew as soon as she said, you never know who they're going to be. I was like, oh, you're not who, you know who you think you're going to be. But I liked that character a lot. This character development of being like this tough exterior because you can be anyone in Oasis.
Qualm.
Oh, okay, there we go. I'll come back to mine.
No, I'm sorry. Kind of in the marketing of it. Can that count?
Yeah. You were given the wrong expectation because of the marketing, and the marketing is supposed to give
In
you
a
the expectation.
sense, I mean, there were some aspects, but see here, I'm sorry, my qualms can't count. I don't think I'm allowed to have qualms.
Just say it.
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
No, because my qualms are based off what the book had.
It's okay.
That's
the
fine.
mystery of some of the characters.
I guarantee someone at home is going to have the same thing.
Yeah, there's
Well,
someone.
I mean, like Artemis, she's not revealed until later. H isn't revealed until later. We don't have any of all the real world stuff because the stakes in the Oasis are bigger in the book. And I think what you guys mentioned, the stakes weren't that high.
What do you mean they were bigger in the book?
Meaning, well, because in the book, the Oasis is it. That's where people live. There is no world.
You go to sleep in reality. You live in the Oasis.
They put a lot of stock in what happens in reality in this.
Yeah, they did.
In the movie. And so it's like, oh, I kind of like the mystery and the magic of what happened in the book. And see, that's why I feel like I shouldn't be allowed to have qualms on this because I read the book and I'm going against what I said of like, it's an adaptation.
I think there's a dimension to that where it's like, it's okay to discuss like what the book accomplished as a whole versus like what the movie did.
It's kind of like what we do. We still love the things that we love, but
Yeah.
we can still be adults and talk trash about it.
Yeah.
I mean, there were just there's certain things, aspects that I'm like, I kind of wish you would have kept that mystery of it.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
In the book, does it say if you died, did you die in the game at the same time? Because in isekai genre, if you died in real life and your consciousness was in the game, you would be alive in the game.
It wouldn't
you just
really
have no body to come back to.
It's not really a consciousness.
It's not like that,
yeah. It's really you're just loading a character.
It's VR.
Okay.
So if you died,
You died.
just
You'd stop
you're
playing.
dead, your body's dead, but your character has nobody to play with it.
Just be standing there.
You could log into somebody's character and
put another
NPC.
quarter.
Because see, if it was the other way around, where your
Continue.
consciousness is going to the world, your body doesn't mean much.
Yeah.
Because then in this world, in this stakes that Cline made, it does make sense where there's a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And since he did help with the screenplay, I'm assuming you had to do some liberties to change it.
Yeah.
So
Sorry,
That's
H.
fair. Oh yeah, no, I just thought H is their story was great. I thought her character arc being this tough badass kind of thing, and then you find out that it's she's put on this facade because she's maybe not comfortable with who she is as a person, or doesn't think anyone will accept who she is as a person, and then you find out that she's like the most lovable one of the whole gang. Was I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoyed that.
probably the only one with their driver's license too. So.
Yeah, probably.
My favorite character was Artemis in this movie, and I haven't read the book, so I don't know how.
No, she's a great character.
And in the movie, I liked her a lot because she was just. The cool thing is that Parsifal looked up to her. Like she's this dope character that like everyone wanted to clan up with, and the Artemis, the goddess of the hunt and stuff like that. And plus, like, I don't know if there was so much motion capture or like the voice acting, but like the character for some reason in the game did not reflect how I envisioned her in reality.
Yeah.
Like I envisioned her almost to be like 30 years old.
Oh yeah.
Like the way that the acting was portrayed in the OASIS. It was really weird. I was like, this is a grown woman. This is a grown ass woman. And then going out, I was like, that is a teenager. Like, what am I? Like, what is? But then you hear the voice like that should not come out of your mouth.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's the point, right?
yeah, which I mean, it was cool. It got me. That was a cool thing. And plus the Akira bike, and like, to me, like she almost in the movie like really underlined that big things like you don't mention your real name, and I was like, oh yeah, that's shit like you learn in AOL 1.0. You know what I'm saying? Like. But I don't know. I liked her a lot. And then in the movie, where she goes into the war room and she's the one sneaking behind and all that stuff. It's just I liked her character more than I liked Wade. And I think Wade really kind of just was more of an audience vessel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Artemis
he's there because he had to be there because he's in the book, and it's like, well, we should have the lead character in there.
Yeah.
But let's focus on Artemis.
He was our avatar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the movie.
Yeah.
Josh or Ali, favorite characters?
I think my favorite character had to have been IROC.
IROC, TJ Miller.
Cause I'm a huge TJ Miller fan.
Yeah.
But it was just I loved his character. I loved that it was like he like did some like role playing stuff, but mostly he was just like a geek or like a nerd.
Yeah.
Talking about the carpal tunnel in his neck.
Yeah, carpal tunnel in his neck. Like,
how's it doing? I think I'm gonna need physical therapy.
It's a real camper move, man. You don't even know how to use an orb.
Yeah. But he was supposed to be like this, or he is kind of to a degree this like tough guy.
Well, the thing I loved is that he kind of fits in the stereotype of like he is the level 2099 sorcerer, paladin, lord. Like, but he's just really a nerd. You know what I'm saying?
He's been there since vanilla.
Yeah.
I was really hoping there was going to be a turn where he like. Yeah, especially when he's like, I got 10 years worth of shit on me, man.
He didn't do anything.
I was hoping there'd be a little more like, all right, fuck it.
No safe haven for scoundrels here.
You know what I mean? There was like, maybe that's another small.
But I feel that's a very Spielberg-y thing too. Is that the cretin that always helps out the main villain never gets redemption.
Yeah,
that's like a 80s
They do not
thing.
save the cat.
No, I won't. I mean, if it's Indiana Jones, he'll save his hat. So I mean, the point of the cat.
Even if he would have died, like even if he was still died, it would have been cool if he like. Helped something somehow.
Yeah, did something at the end to
had a little thumbs up when he falls in the lava.
I loved that.
Oh my god, that was so good.
Favorite characters?
Do you think James Halliday counts?
Yeah.
Would it be a side character or a main? Yeah, I mean,
I
it's
think
a
we're
main
just your
character.
favorite characters.
Okay.
He was great. His character portrayal was phenomenal.
Yeah, I thought that was a lot of fun.
Now I really want to read the book because I really did like how the movie portrayed like there is a point of the fact that like there is this person who's played God, but in all honesty, it's like just wanted to
Well, yeah,
have
he
someone
had-
that understood them.
He clearly had some social, issues and social anxiety or social,
Yeah, but I
didn't
mean-
pick up on social cues.
And it
Yeah.
wasn't until the end of his life he realized all of the. I mean, any of the chances he had at real life, he didn't take.
Yeah.
And so he had to find some way so that story could be told. And, in the weird, psychosis that he has, can't even just say it to the one person that he wanted to say it to, but instead have someone in the world that would just figure that out
Yeah.
and say that in lieu of him. I don't know. There was something very, I don't know, I identified, loved about that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. I mean, that'll be my answer. I liked Mark Rylance's portrayal of him, and I just thought it was a sweet character. I thought Simon Pegg as Ogden was great too.
Yeah.
It was very sweet.
He's really endearing as a person, Simon Pegg.
It was cool to see him with an American accent.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden have his
Did a good job.
accent when he's a curator.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh.
Yeah. Do we want to rate it?
Yeah, let's rate it. We always rate them.
Rate him.
I feel like I'm going to be the grump of the group this
You probably
week.
are going to be the grump of the group. That's fine. I'm going to say just 4.
4?
Just straight 4.
Okay.
I'd say it's one of my. I've seen Spielberg's more recent works, and I've said this for the record. Like, I'm not really too happy with a lot of his recent works and all that stuff. I mean, not like I'm not happy, but they weren't as great as this one. I feel like, he's still got it, baby. He's still got some of that
It did
magic.
feel there were some great moments in this where I felt very like E.T., like when the van's pulling away and all the bad guys run up behind it and they're like, oh, missed it. Like, I love those. I love those little like Spielberg tropes. They're like total like Goonies vibe. I really, there were some gems in here that I really
like in his
loved.
next movie. It won't say director of War Horse. It will say director of Ready Player One. You know, what I mean, like usually directors when they aren't really too happy with their previous works, they'll mention like a work before that one.
Jurassic Park.
Yeah, so I mean, like this feels like something that he would still hold true, and I like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to give it probably like a 3.5.
Okay.
Yeah. Only because I did want a little bit more like depth and purpose, like my qualms. But overall, like it was just a blast. Like I want to see it again immediately in theaters, and I'm gonna own it when it comes out. Just so I can like watch it, frame by frame, and pick out every single little reference and
It would be
geek out about it. Because
I think there are lists like of
137 things you missed in Ready Player One
exactly
all the Easter eggs
in 10 minutes or less.
Exactly.
I'm Ben from What Culture, and here's
Shout out.
Josh.
You want to see if you're the grump? Huh?
I do want to see. I don't want to influence anyone else's.
You are going to be
it's
the
not
grump.
go-
Josh
it's
is
not
not
gonna
going to be
be-
the grump.
It's not going to be a 5 because there are some things that I would change, and we have said that would be the.
You
I'd
blow.
probably, if I could do like I'll do a 4.5.
Okay.
But I feel like my answer shouldn't matter.
Shut up. Shut the fuck up with that shit. All nerds are welcome. All opinions
Yeah.
are
Stop.
here to be heard.
Let us put you down.
Okay,
Don't put yourself
cool,
down.
cool.
If anything, you're a book reader that is giving it a high score, so that should
that's
Okay.
amazing.
count for
That
something.
should stand. So I gave Tomb Raider 3.75, and I'll do this. I'll do the same.
3.75?
So I think Ali might be the grump. of the
I'm the
week.
grump.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And you sounded like you liked it more
Actually,
than
you know
he
what?
did.
3.65.
3.65.
3.65.
3.65.
Someday, can we like sit down and
Don't
like
me.
I don't do I do a point. I do a 4.1. I don't 4.12.
We need to establish our scale.
No, on Tomb Raider you did 4.85.
maybe
No,
Yeah,
our
you did.
scale doesn't matter.
Yes, you did.
And that's
Shut
the whole
up.
point.
Go back and listen
like
to
I
it.
said, 4, if it's in a 4
You
range,
said 3.85 last week.
when I say 4, this is the part where it's like, this is the director's work and it's a work that they'll stand by. When it's lower than that, I'm like, it's a popcorn movie.
Yeah.
And again, like, for someone that like is a
No, we need to break it down.
how about we do that in a bonus episode? And
A
you can-
scale. Like this is what a 1 to 1.3 means this.
We'll make our own scale. But anyway, 3.65, Tom.
Okay. Okay.
Oh boy.
That's
hate
what
when
I
mom
gave
and
it.
dad fight. It's the second time I've had to say that.
Well, it wouldn't happen if I wasn't wearing hockey pads.
Oh my God.
And here I thought we'd get through an episode without it.
Never.
Never.
Never let that happen.
Well, now
Oh.
it's game over.
Yeah. Game over. Man. Do you guys feel complete?
I do.
Did we discuss it?
I thought we analyzed
I
it.
could go more. I could actually go more.
We
But
could.
that'll bring
Why
us
would
to...
you say that at 70 minutes in?
Exactly. So, but I was like, that'll bring us to overtime. So slip and slide in my DMs if you want.
Yeah. Let us know what you thought. Comment on our posts.
Tell us what your favorite part was, your favorite reference.
Favorite character, what your Kwame Qualms were, what your rating is out of stars.
Oh, yeah. Does the scale? I don't even think the scale really matters.
No.
I don't think it matters at all.
I hope someday we get big enough where someone does actually be like, here's all the ratings they've done over the years. Be like, yes.
Did you say if we get big enough?
I said when.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Whose rating is it anyways?
But you can find, again, all that social medias stuff at our website, Nerd on the Podcast.
Nerdonthepasta.com.
Don't go there. I don't know what it is, but those people.
We're all level of ravioli are welcome.
There you go.
Nerdonthepodcast.com.
Yes.
Yeah, there it is.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for listening.
As always,
Nerd on.
Ending broadcast.